YouTube is in the middle of a major viewership shakeup, and no one seems to know what's really happening. Overnight, some of the largest creators on the platform lost between 20 to 30% of their views per episode. It has created a lot of panic across the platform. What is going on? Theories are flying, misinformation is everywhere, and it literally feels like the Wild West. And this is all because for creators, this drop in views can dramatically drive down the value of sponsored ad sales. Which means for creators who have over-leveraged themselves on sponsorship dollars to make ends meet, they could be facing bankruptcy. So, why haven't we heard about any of these creators going belly up? Well, it's because they have a strategy for diversifying their revenue that keeps them safe during market shakeups. It's called the revenue web, and by using it, you can protect yourself against financial ruin. Welcome to Podcast Support, the show where we tackle the questions every podcaster needs answered to grow a successful show. Whether you're just starting out or scaling an existing audience, we break down the roadblocks, share practical strategies, and give you step-by-step answers so you can spend less time guessing and more time building the podcast you want.
Thank you for contacting Podcast Support.
A spider web is one of the strongest structures in nature. If one strand breaks, the rest still holds. Your show's revenue needs to work the exact same way. Welcome to the revenue web. This easy to follow diagram is what helps podcasters find true scale without risking financial hardship. Diary of a CEO, Smart List, the Mel Robbins podcast, Linus Tech Tips, MKBHD. Look at how any of them make money and you will see that they use this web. But the revenue web isn't only reserved for the largest shows. In fact, you can be building out your revenue web right now. The power of the revenue web is that if one strand disappears overnight, say your show gets demonetized because YouTube changed their Adsense policies, which happens all the time, you'll still have other streams of revenue to keep your podcast standing while you figure out how to get monetization back on your podcast. Now, you might be thinking, Casey, that'll never happen to my show. But the truth is, every podcaster faces these challenges. Go ask them. Find them on the street. Say, hey, MKBHD, when were you last demonetized? He'll know the date. Trust me. And even if you don't get demonetized, other terrible things outside of your control can happen, like advertisers suddenly deciding your show is worth less to them, and overnight your payouts per view drop by over 50%. These types of change-ups happen all the time, and if you're not planning for them now, they will crush your show in the future. But enough doom and gloom. Now that you understand why a revenue web is so important to the health of your podcast, I'm going to walk you through the 6 revenue streams that make up a strong, balanced web, and exactly what percentage of your total revenue each one should represent. At number 6 on the revenue web and accounting for 5% of your total income, we have affiliate links. For anyone who doesn't know, affiliate links let you earn money by recommending products or services to your audience. When listeners purchase through your unique link, you get a commission. Pretty sweet. Typically, you can expect to see anywhere between 3 to 30% back on purchases made through your links. But on physical items like a hammer, let's say on Amazon, you're looking more at that 3 to 5% return. So while affiliate links aren't the largest source of revenue, they take up very little work to set up and operate. So they can be a great source of passive income, as long as you expect them to only, buy your lunch every once in a while and don't expect them to pay the bills. At number 5, we have YouTube Adsense, which should make up about 10% of your show's income. Now, it might be surprising to some to see AdSense so low on this list, but remember, when it comes to the building out of a revenue web, we want to prioritize sustainability. And AdSense, it's just not very reliable. Why? Because YouTube has a track record of making changes to its policies and algorithm without notifying its creators. And then they provide vague answers after the fact that leave more questions than answers. I mean, literally take the current firestorm as an example. YouTube has told creators, both directly and through press releases, that nothing in the algorithm has changed. In other words, they're suggesting YouTubers are just imagining their drops in views, or that they're losing out to stronger competition. I tend to disagree with that, and I think that when this many creators are seeing the same shift in their data, it points to something happening under the hood. But Either way, this situation is a perfect example of the mistrust and paranoia that always seems to be surrounding YouTube AdSense. So for us, while we recommend monetizing your podcast videos, we do not recommend AdSense making up more than 10% of your total revenue. That choice will inevitably come back to haunt you. At number 4, and equal to AdSense when it comes to percent of total revenue, we have live shows. Look at me, I'm live. We'll do it live. You know, that type of stuff. This is easily the most difficult strand of the revenue web to quantify. This is because the importance of live shows to a podcast can change from show to show. For some, like My Favorite Murder or Normal Gossip, live shows can be a massive revenue driver. Meanwhile, for others, it's a nice to have or not really relevant, or, you get shy and you just don't know if you can face people face to face anymore. But we still wanted to include live shows here, and we recommend setting them at about 10% of your total revenue. Every podcaster should at least be considering how to take their show on the road. Live events are a really powerful way to boost revenue and connect with fans in a whole new way. There's a reason so many podcasts are embracing live events. So start thinking about what your show could look like right now. At number 3, with about 12% of total revenue, we have sponsors. Yep, you knew we were going to get here. But that number might surprise you. Most people assume sponsorship should be their main income source. But the truth is, the industry shifts fast, and what sponsors value can change overnight. That's why I recommend putting real effort into building strong sponsor relationships. But really never relying on them as your primary income stream. Leaning too heavily on sponsorships is just asking for trouble. If you want a deeper dive into how to land and manage sponsors, check out my video on signing your first sponsor in 30 days. It'll give you practical insights and strategies you can use right now. And at number 2, making up about 18% of your revenue, we have your online community. This could be through Patreon, a membership site, or any platform that allows your biggest fans to support you directly. These are your superfans, the people willing to pay for bonus content, behind-the-scenes access, or extra value. They're also the ones who will keep your lights on during hard times. That's why it's so important to start building your community from day one. And the best part? A thriving community doesn't require a big financial investment. It just takes your time and creativity. Simple touches can go a long way, like hosting a weekly mastermind call, dropping bonus Q&A episodes, or creating exclusive resources. The key is finding ways to deepen your relationship and give your audience reasons to invest in your show. All right, and finally, at number 1, you'll notice the pie chart looks, a little lopsided. That's because the top revenue stream should account for about 45% of your total income. It's the biggest strand in your revenue web. So, what is it? Well, it's physical products and services that you sell. This is your main offer, the thing your entire funnel should be leading people toward. For some shows, that's merch like t-shirts or mugs. For others, it might be coaching, consulting, or professional services. Why does this stream carry so much weight? Because it gives you the most control and the highest income potential. Compare that to affiliate links. Yes, you can vet the product and recommend it confidently, but the payout is small. It's not going to move the needle in the same way Jester's basketball line does, or how My Favorite Murder turned their Stay Sexy, Don't Get Murdered shirts into a fan phenomenon. When you own your main product or service, you're not just adding another strand to the web, you're anchoring the entire thing. Now that you know how your revenue should be laid out across the revenue web, the next question is, when should you be building each strand? Timing matters. If you're just starting out, your priorities will look very different than if you already have thousands of listeners. For a deeper dive into this, check out our episode on the monetization timeline. In it, we break down exactly which revenue streams to focus on at each stage of growth, so you know what to build, when to build it, and how to avoid burning out along the way. For more information on how to take your podcast to the next level, make sure you subscribe. Now, go get podcasting.
Thank you for contacting podcast support.